So today we're going to talk about the story of Michael Barayev and how I ended up to where I am today. This is hopefully to inspire you. This is not for you to feel bad for me or be, excited for me, but this is for you to get inspired a little bit, because you have to understand that everything starts with a journey. Everything starts from not knowing what's going on, maybe being lost in the sauce, confused, angry, upset, turmoil, poverty, and it ends up somewhere amazing. But you have to understand that that journey is really the juicy part, right? The journey is really what makes it fun and interesting. It's not just the destination. Like, yeah, you may say, Michael, I want to be a millionaire, and great, you become a millionaire, but what really is the most important part is not the actual acceptance and achievement of that $1,000,000 or $1 million or $5 million, $10 million, whatever it may be, or $1 million net worth. It's the actual journey. So today I want to talk about my journey a little bit so you can understand how we got to 150 plus sales guys in less than 2.5 years with zero money invested, like as you guys know, so you have a little bit of understanding of where I come from, okay? So a little bit about my childhood. When I was a young, from 0 to 19, my life was chaos. I'm talking about emotional damage, emotional turmoil. It was, you would not be able to understand the life that I lived, because I don't have many happy memories as a kid, right? And I don't say this to my mom and my dad to make them feel bad, because I love them to death. They're amazing parents. I love them to death. And, I have nothing negative to say. But the life that I grew up with them would not be the most positive or most effective thing you would want to do for a child. Just being honest, right? They did the best they could. And I love them, and I will always be grateful for them, because they brought me to this world, and I have a great relation with both of them now. Obviously I have years after, I've become more mature, I would say. They've also, learned some of the mistakes they made as well. But just kind of giving you my story, right? This is not to judge my parents. I say this, a lot, because I don't want you guys to say, oh, my dad was an asshole, or my mom was not good, or this and that. No, it had nothing to do with them, okay? I was put in that situation because God chose for me to go through that situation so I can be prepared for the mental battles that are coming in the future of my life. And guess what? Thank God I went through it, because 98% of the people that I talk to are mentally weak. They're not strong enough to withstand some pain, some turmoil, some chaos in their life. But Michael Barayev, because he's been through that bullshit, it's like, it's no big deal, right? So I'm very grateful I went through it, and I'm actually, believe me, I'm way, way, way better than I was before. I'm a great person today than I was when I was a young kid, and everything is juicy. So with that being said, that's my little disclaimer. Let's talk about my life, right? I had a lot of domestic violence in my home. Mom, dad fighting, a lot of bullshit, drama, pots flying, people flying, all kinds of shit going on. My father was a little bit abusive, not because he meant to be abusive, but it's just kind of like he had to let go of his anger sometimes, right? My father was a very religious person when it comes to Judaism, and my mom was not on the same page together with him. So there's a lot of conflict, a lot of problems. Also, my mom and my dad grew up very, 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 very poor. My dad was a doctor in another country. My mom was a teacher. They come to this country as immigrants with a 6-month-old baby with no freaking education, no language, no nothing. They had to start from scratch from the bottom up. They were collectively making, in that time, in today's money, it's about $12,000 a year, $11,000 to $12,000 a year. So just imagine, raising a family with me and my 2 younger brothers, right? 5 people in a 1-bedroom apartment, okay? Raising a family with $12,000 a year. I mean, it was freaking difficult, right? Now, we had food we were taking care of because there were a lot of programs that helped us out. I remember as a kid, we used to have this program called Tomchei Shabbos, which used to bring a box of food every single Thursday night to, prepare for the Saturday and Sunday, stuff like that. So, it was amazing as a kid to remember that. We were never, deprived of food, but, I do remember that my mom busted her ass, cleaning toilets, doing whatever she can, cleaning old people's butts, and just trying to make a couple of dollars, right? And it was very difficult for my dad to pass the exam to become a doctor again, and that really messed him up. That immigration really messed him up, right? And you can imagine, as a dad, if you're not able to perform for your family and bring money to the table, it messes you up ego-wise, and it messes you up, long-term, right? So that's where a lot of the conflicts came about. My mom and my dad never got along. The fact that they got married and created me is a blessing on its own. I have no idea why God chose them to be together, because they are 2 completely human beings that would, in my opinion, I don't know how that happened. Okay, it's just weird. Long story short, that was just my life, I ended up being, seeing my dad get arrested 100,000 times because the cops would come to my house and there was domestic violence. Long story short, my name was nicknamed 8911 because that was the nickname of my building, right? So you can imagine the turmoil that I had when I was in the streets or in the parks and the cops would pass by. Oh, you're the 8911 kid. It just didn't feel good, right? So having the police station, the whole department in New York City know who you are, that's not a good thing, okay? Whether they look at you as a victim, it doesn't really, or a criminal, it doesn't matter. I don't want the cops to know my name. Leave me alone, right? that's kind of like my story. I went through a lot of hospitals for a lot of emotional stuff because they thought that I was ADD, OCD, ABC, everything from fucking A to Z, when in reality, all I really needed was just to channel my energy into the right stuff, okay? So, as you can imagine, I've been through a lot of schools, got kicked out of 8 out of 9 schools. I barely graduated. The fact that I graduated to me is I was looking at my report cards the other day. I was like, what? Really? I had like, you know how they have different terms and different like not quadrant, but different quarters for school? Like 4 quarters, every quarter was in a different school. Like I was getting kicked out left and right? So it was just scary. And then something drastic happened at 15 years old, 16 years old. My mom, she didn't like me really hanging out with these kids, but I used to hang out with these kids and we used to go steal shit. Now, by the way, I'm a very ethical person today. I'm very honest. I don't steal, but like at a young age, you're doing stupid stuff with a couple of guys. I ended up getting caught in Macy's for stealing a stupid jacket, okay? Long story short, why I did it, how I did it is the stupidest thing on the planet. Long story short, we ended up paying a bunch of fees for that. I had to do community service for 35 hours, which I freaking hated, but that taught me a lesson, never steal again. But the government didn't think that I was a lesson learned. The government said, you know what? We don't think this child is fit to be in his mom or dad's hands. This is, by the way, my parents when they got divorced at 13, 14 years old, okay? So what ended up happening was the government took me away. Took me away and put me into a foster care system. Worst experience of my entire life. As a matter of fact, I feel so bad for anybody that's in foster care or group home because I know what goes on there. They don't take care of the kids, a lot of problems, a lot of fighting, a lot of beating up, just a lot of drama. You know, long story short, at 17 years old, my nose got broken because a couple of kids ganged up on me, used to beat me up and broke my face, and I had to get surgery. All right? And it was a very tough experience. From 0 to 19, like I always say, it was chaos. It was a nightmare. It wasn't easy. You know, it wasn't easy to kind of think through that life, and I always was looking for a way out of that life. I just wanted out. I just wanted a better life for myself. And, being the odd dog, the black sheep of the family, being the guy that grew up in a one-bedroom apartment, never had my own room, like I just wanted to go out there and create success, and I never wanted to be in the palm of anyone else's hands as control. I just wanted to have control over my life. Like I was not allowed to go out as a kid in the streets until 13 years old. My dad was a disciplinary kind of guy. I remember at one point, I cursed my dad out or something. I said something disrespectful. And he literally took a newspaper and said, you're going to write this 100 times. And I said, screw you. He's like, 200 times. And I kept going. It ended up being 5,000 lines I had to write down. Was that the right discipline or anything my dad did? I don't know, but can I be honest with you? I ended up writing that 5,000 assignment, and guess what? I'm the most disciplined freak of nature in planet Earth today. Is it because of that? I don't know. Was I emotionally damaged? Maybe, right? I had to go through a lot of therapy to kind of make myself a little bit of a better individual. But long story short, this is to tell you that no matter what your background is, you have a chance to create success. Just because my 0 to 19 was a nightmare does not mean the 19 to freaking 89 or 99 or 109 is going to be affected in a negative way. I just made a decision. 19, that's it. Now I'll tell you how that happened. So at 17 years old, I was in the foster care system, and I was able to get a job because that group had a program where I can go work outside of the campus. The reason why I wanted to work outside of the campus is because I needed money, number one. I was broke, okay? Even though I had a couple of dollars here and there by selling candy, this and that, I just needed some money because I knew that if I had more money, I can control my situation. If I had more money, I could fly away. If I had more money, I could drive away. If I had more money, I had more options and more choices. So at 17 years old, working, being in that foster care system, they gave me a job down the block in a car wash. And by the way, that was very, 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 it was like one of the most toughest jobs because can you imagine the sun beaming on your head, 17 years old, you're cleaning people's cars, they're giving you tips, you make, a couple of $100 a week. I was excited about the $100 a week, right? A couple $100 a week. But what really, really taught me was like work ethic at that time. Like, wow, you just got to go hustle and work hard, okay? So long story short, after I left the foster care system, I'm 18 years old. I'm working in a kiosk, right? I'm going to college a little bit. And I dropped out of college because I just couldn't really understand why I was doing it. And I was working in a kiosk. Now, me working in a kiosk was me basically talking to a bunch of guys and talking to a bunch of customers in the mall, okay, and bringing them to buy the product. Now, at that time, you got to understand, nobody wanted to hire me. No experience, no skill set, crazy young buck. Nobody wanted to hire me. How I got that job was crazy because I literally told the guy, if I can bring you customers, are you guys hiring today? He's like, no. I said, what if I bring you customers right now? I was like, go ahead, bring me some customers. So I literally, at the time of shop, in the middle of the mall in the kiosk, I was bringing customers left and right to the freaking table. He saw the excitement and the enthusiasm that I had. He's like, you know what? I'll give you a chance to get an interview. I got an interview. I got hired. Long story short, here I am working there for a couple of months. Now, what ended up happening was at that time, while I was working, in the nighttime in the kiosk, in the daytime I was going to 47th Street and working in the Diamond District. Now, by the way, I got to tell you this. If you don't know what Diamond District is, go to Google, write 47th Street, Diamond District, and just look at some videos. People are crazy there. It's the most craziest block on planet Earth, between 5th and 6th Avenue and 47th Street in Manhattan. Craziest place on the planet. You got people scamming everybody, lying to everybody, stealing customers, people fucking their own cousins and mothers. I'm like, bro, what is this place? Now, I wanted to do things the ethical way, so I did things the right way, but it was very challenging to do business there. So my job, I was in the middle of the street, bringing customers to different businesses. And they would give me a little commission. So you can imagine, listen, I bring a customer, the guy made $5,000, I expect something. I don't expect $5,000, but I expect something. I would get $5, $10. And I used to get into fights with business owners. Cops, fights, problems in the streets. It was just a mess. I hated it. But that was the only place that I can go to make a couple of dollars to make a living. For me, I didn't know where else to go. And by the way, from 18, 17, 19 years old, up until 25, 24, or I would say 23 years old, which we'll get to in a second, I didn't make more than $100,000. I didn't even make more than $50,000. I barely made $20,000 a year. Barely. So I was just hustling my ass off for years, building my skill set before I could start making money. So if you're going through struggles right now, you're not making a lot of money, it's okay. Keep pushing, keep fighting, keep persevering. You're going to make it. Just build that skill set, which we talk about in other videos, right? So at 47th Street, I was doing that since, I would say 18 till 21, here and there on the side till 22. Always trying to stay away from it. It's kind of like a last resort, make a couple of dollars and walk away. Make a couple of dollars, a couple of hustles, and then walk away. But at 19 years old, what really changed my life, I met a mentor in the gym. This guy changed my life. I still talk to him to this day. He's a great guy, nothing against him, right? But at that moment, he helped me out tremendously. And he basically offered me to do a business called Amway. Amway is an amazing business model. It's a network marketing business. It changed my life because all I knew how to do was what? Personal development, educate yourself, sales, building teams, all of that. And I remember my life was like, wow, it's a new world that was introduced to me. I never read the book Think and Grow Rich. I never read the book Magic of Thinking Big. I never read any of these books, and I started reading books. And I remember when my mentor told me, hey, Michael, do you read any books? The first time he offered it to me, I was like, books? I heckled and I said, books are for losers. And the biggest loser at that time was who? Michael Barayev. And I realized that reading books is going to get me rich. Reading books is going to get me smarter and sharper and faster. So I started reading books. Now I read 50, 60, 70 books a year, right? All because of that conversation I had with my mentor. So at 19 years old, I got started on that business. But remember, it was a high side hustle. So I needed to work somewhere full time to make a couple of dollars to, buy food, this and that. So I got hired by a company in the same mall to basically harpoon people in the freaking mall to get their kids to do modeling. So I would harpoon guys and get a little commission and say, wow, you have a beautiful kid. It could be an ugly kid with one tooth. I'm like, oh, it's a beautiful kid, right? And I would start hustling them and kind of getting them to do modeling with the kids, right? And I did that for a little bit, didn't really like it. I always hated it. My plan A at that time was Amway. I wanted to become successful in that. Still doing that. And then at 20 to 21, got out of the modeling business, started doing, 47th Street, full time, and then doing Amway part time, right? It didn't really work out the way I wanted to. I was barely making money. I was just surviving. I wasn't thriving. I remember taking train stations every single day, reading my book and having people, coworkers, laugh at me for reading books. Literally laughing at me, telling me, oh, you read books? Loser, this and that. We'll get back to this story in a little bit. And then all of a sudden, I kind of was sick and done of this stuff. I was just done. A friend of mine called me. His name is Muhammad. If you're watching this video, Muhammad, I love you to death because you called me and said, yo, Mike, I got an opportunity for you with AT&T. I was like, nah, I'm good. He kind of convinced me to show up. I show up to that interview with sweatpants. Somehow the manager hired me. His name was Bilal. He hired me, gave me the job. I did it for 7 to 8 months, made a couple of dollars. Mind you, I still haven't made anything more than 30 grand. This is when I'm 22 years old. 23 years old, and remember, if I don't create success in something, what happened? I'll go back to 47th Street. It was like my safe haven to make a couple of dollars. So you got to understand, 19 to 23 years old, I'm in and out jobs, figuring out, scraping, hustling, focusing on Amway, learning my skills, how to deal with people, trying to build myself up. 23 years old, I saw one of my guys in my Amway team, he was making like $50,000 a year working with Time Warner Cable. And I was like, selling cable, making $50,000 a year? I was like, damn, that's a lot of money. And he was lazy. No disrespect. If you're watching this video, Jay Moneybags, you were lazy, boy, at that time. And you were making 50 grand. I was like, if he's making 50 grand, I'm going to kill this thing. I'm going to do 100. So I started working with Time Warner Cable, got the job, and all I had to do was set up a table event in the street and get customers to sign up. So that's what I used to do it in the middle of the street. Cold, hot, it didn't matter. Raining, I had an umbrella. I didn't care. I just wanted to hustle. And that year I made about 80 to 90,000 bucks. Almost 100. But my belief in myself went flying high. Skyrocketed. Okay? But then one day, Time Warner Cable said, listen, you're fired. I'm like, what? The next day, I had an interview with Verizon Fios. Never forget this. My friend had an interview set up for the next day. He literally said, I don't want to do it because it's commission only. He's like, you should go for it. Next day, I show up to the Verizon interview. I get hired. My first full 100% commission door-to-door cable job. Great. My first day, I'll never forget this. My trainer was supposed to take me to the field. He goes to the field with me. He's like, I'll be right back. I got a couple of follow-ups. Gone. Never seen him again. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to wait for this guy. First door, no answer. Second door, a guy opens up the door. I start talking some shit. I get a sale. I call the manager. I'm like, yo, manager, I got a sale. I don't know what to do. I'm brand new. I'm Mr. Customer. Take it easy. I don't know what to do, but I know you want it. Give me a second. Got the manager on the line. Close that deal. First deal. Second door. And I made 200 bucks. $200. And in my mind, I was like, wow. If I just did that, I made $200. I can imagine. I can't imagine if I could just go do 10, 15 a week. And that was my target. And that's what I did. And during those 11 months, I made 139,000 bucks. I was 24 years old, made 100 grand. My first year, I was on cloud nine. I was like, wow, I made 100 grand. By the way, no education, barely graduated college, barely graduated high school, no college education, no college experience. I'm a dropout, guys. Made 100 grand a year. My belief in myself went flying through the roof. Okay? And then what ended up happening, I said, you know what, I'm not going to focus on this Amway thing. I'm going to focus on my own business. I opened up my own company at 25 years old, and the first year or so was a challenge. Remember, learning how to be a business owner, an entrepreneur, all these headaches. At that time, I had 100 grand saved up, opened up my business, and the rest is history. This is 2016, okay? And we still have that business open today, right? 6 years later. Long story short, this was when I was 25 to 27, and that's how we built in 2.5 years, literally in less than 2.5 years, we built our sales force to 150 plus employees. We had 150 people working with us. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, you did it in 2.5 years. No. I did it since 19 years old. 19. Why? Because 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, for 7 years I was planting seeds. 7 years I was planting seeds, and things weren't going my way. 7 years, 8 years, and all of a sudden, boom, it's the bamboo tree story, right? You plant a seed, it doesn't grow right now. You plant a bamboo tree, it takes 5 years to grow. But when it does grow, it grows 3 to 6 to 9 feet a day. Just make sure you're not sitting on the ground. Because it'll go whoop, right? Just, you understand the power of the bamboo tree? The power of exponential growth, and that's what happened. And that's how we were able to build our net worth to millions of dollars. I'm not saying that because I'm bragging. I'm telling you this because my story is here to inspire you. You know, and then last year, we were able to open up our division with solar. We let go of all the other campaigns that we were focused on in a couple of years, and we went all in on solar because we see the future of solar. And in less than a year, we were able to become one of the top partners with our vendors. We're growing like crazy coast to coast. We have 4 locations right now that we're working on. 2 already open. The 3rd and the 4th are being opened over the next month or 2. And it's crazy because who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Nobody. I'm just a Michael Barayev, a guy that grew up in a very challenging household, 19 years of chaos, but I made a decision. I made a choice. I want to win. I want to control my life, and I don't want to be living the way I lived as a kid. I will never let that happen to me, my wife, and my future kids because I made a decision. And once you make that decision, your game will fucking change. If you want to become a multi-millionaire, it's 100% in your palm of your hands. All you have to do is make a decision. And now our journey right now is to get to $1 billion by 40 years old. And we're going to do that. How we're going to do that, I have no idea. But God's going to bless me because I want to bless other people. The reason why I do this content is I want to bless others. I want to bless other people and impact them so you can understand they can do the same thing for their families. So impact and income is what we're focused on in our life. And that's pretty much Michael Barayev's story. So I appreciate you. If this story impacted you, do me a favor, share this with somebody, share this with a friend, share this with someone that can actually benefit with this story because I'm telling you, there's somebody watching this right now that's 19 years old, that's lost in the sauce like I was, and needs that affirmation that they can and will do it. So I believe in you, I love you, do me a favor, don't forget to subscribe, share, like, comment, ring the notifications, do it all for me, please, and I'll appreciate that a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I love you guys.